Now, I could just do a reaction from the original video rather than reacting to Ryan's reaction of the original video. But at the same time, I kind of like the way Ryan thinks a lot of the time, and I find it interesting to hear his observations. So I thought I'd do like a double whammy kind of reaction video. So reacting to what the tourists are saying and then reacting to Ryan's comments. Now, I will mention that this video is 2 years old, so obviously by now Ryan has learned a lot more about Australia. So I will need to try and keep that in mind and try and go easy on him if there are instances when he gets things really badly wrong.
Today we've got this video here. It is what tourists think of Australia. So I'm putting myself in the mindset. I'm no longer in this Indiana house. I am in Australia, and now I'm learning what they think. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I don't think I need to put myself in some kind of mindset. Let's just watch, and I'm interested to hear what the tourists think of Australia, obviously, because if and when I go to Australia, I will be a tourist. So and these people can, I don't know. All right, let's watch. Am I making any sense? No.
Yeah, you're probably right on that, Ryan. Your argument fell flat there because you're going to have your own thoughts on Australia when you come here finally someday as a tourist. So you don't need guidelines from these guys as to what you should think. And of course, by the time you do make it here to Australia, you're going to be far more educated on what Australia is like than a majority of these tourists anyway.
Last week, I asked random Australians what they think of America, and then what they think of Australia. And this week, I went out to Surfers Paradise on the Gold Coast and asked international tourists in Australia what they think of Australia. And here are the answers.
So let's recognise this for what it is. He's basically gone to one of the more touristy locations that you could possibly go to. So we need to keep that in mind in terms of what these tourists say, because they're only looking at the really touristy places. Perhaps some of them have travelled further out, but we do need to bear in mind that these are people who are at Surfers Paradise.
So, where are you from?
Oh,
I'm
cool.
from Italy.
Cool
Afghanistan?
glasses.
Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
I'm from Japan.
I'm from Brazil.
I'm from England.
I'm from England.
I'm from Sweden. And I'm from Norway.
I'm from Japan.
Can we get any Americans representing here?
I don't know. I disagree with Ryan here. Well, I couldn't say disagree because he wasn't expressing an opinion, but I find it refreshing that these people are not from America, because when you go through YouTube and you're looking for reaction videos, a large portion of those reaction videos are Americans talking about their thoughts on Australia. So I'm glad that we have all these people from other countries.
I'm from India.
I'm from Brazil.
And
Here's what we'll do. I'll answer some of these questions. As an American? Oh, wait, no, that doesn't work because I haven't been to Australia.
From the Philippines.
Wellington, New Zealand.
Oh, South Africa. And what do you think of Australia? Is it better
No Americans, okay.
or worse than you expected?
It's slightly better, but also kind of
Slightly better than what he expected. Okay, what'd you expect? Like,
Better or worse than you expected?
it's slightly better, but also kind of worse because there's snakes and spiders everywhere.
You can totally read Ryan's thoughts there. You can tell he's just sitting there thinking, what a tool, because how many spiders and snakes are you going to encounter at Surfers Paradise? Maybe you might come across a spider in your hotel room. Chances are it's not going to be a venomous spider like a white tip or a redback, because those rooms are, well, hopefully cleaned within an inch of their lives. And surely, well, you know, you'd be pretty unlucky to come across one of those types of spiders in a hotel room in Surfers.
No, it's better than I've heard about. Yeah, it's much better than that.
What are people saying about Australia and these other countries?
He's got a really, really good point there. What are the stereotypes that people are hearing about us in countries like Italy and Brazil and where all the other countries where these people are coming from? Why are they saying it's better than we expected? Like they expected something to be not so great about Australia. I guess you could look at it on the other side as they heard it was good, but it's even better than that. But there's definitely room for interpretation there.
I've only ever heard good things, so I feel like I could only be let down. And there's no way I already think it would be awesome. So how could it be even better? I'm not sure.
I think if he thought that through a little bit more, he would realise that what he's saying is not quite right. You can't only be let down if you have a good opinion of Australia. Because you're saying that you've got a good opinion of Australia, but you expect that when you get there it's just going to be crap. When you say that you expect to be let down is that you expect things to be wrong. I think what he probably meant to say, and I shouldn't be putting words in his mouth, was that he would expect it to at least live up to his expectations. Perhaps I'm wrong, but that is how I would have interpreted what he was actually trying to convey there.
It's better than I expected. I've been
they're
here
all
before.
saying
I
it's
lived here
better.
3 years ago. I was on a working holiday visa, and I decided to turn back and go follow my dreams and study in Australia.
It's better than I expected.
Yeah, actually, at first don't have any expectations, but living here was really nice, and
Yeah, it's
I
a
love
good
the
place.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good place.
I was expecting more spiders and snakes.
Yeah.
So I was afraid, but it's not like that.
Honestly, you would think that we are the only country in the world that has things like spiders and snakes and dangerous animals.
Yeah, same.
It's actually a little bit better.
Maybe it's not like that in this city. I don't know if they said what city they're in, but I feel like if you go out in the country, in the Outback, it would be like that.
Than I expected.
That's just what I think.
I thought
Now, Ryan's definitely got one up on a lot of other creators in that he actually stops and thinks things through and is not dumb enough to think that there's going to be spiders and snakes everywhere around the Gold Coast. I have to say, he has this amusing notion that if it's not a big city, then it must be the Outback. Maybe that's my interpretation, but I think he hasn't quite got a grasp yet of what it's like outside of the big cities. That you do have these little regional towns, and they're not outback, they're just regional towns. And you're not going to have, well, hopefully you're not going to have snakes up and down the street in your regional towns.
everything here was going to try to eat me, to be quite honest. It's not that bad. And I haven't seen any drop bears, which is good too, right?
People always say that there's so many dangerous animals in Australia, but I haven't seen like a single one. I've seen a cockroach once, but I killed it. That's
What was
in
it?
Australia, but I haven't seen like a single one. I've seen a cockroach once, but I killed
A car horse?
it.
Now here's something that fascinates me. In Australia, we are frequently exposed to all kinds of different accents. And I guess we are a multicultural society, so I guess from an early age, we are listening to different accents from people who come from other countries. So I guess we are accustomed to listening to other accents and not having issues with understanding what is being said. But I find it amusing that there are times when Americans just cannot understand what someone is saying when they say it with an accent that's not an American accent. I think they're getting better these days at understanding Australian accents. But I have seen videos or television shows where they've actually used subtitles because someone was speaking in a non-American accent and they thought that people wouldn't be able to understand them. And here Ryan's just really confused because he can't pick up on this guy saying cockroach. Meanwhile, what a hero. You saw a cockroach and you killed it. Yeah, I've heard that there are quite a lot of cockroaches in the sort of northern end of Australia. I guess it's a heat thing, but I'd love to hear from someone in the north if they are as commonplace as what I'm thinking, or if it's not quite so much like that. And, you know, let's acknowledge this. Cockroaches aren't dangerous. They're not going to kill you.
About it.
Well, I didn't think it would be so much like America. It's got a lot of American influence instead of British. I thought it would have been more British, like New Zealand.
Yep, there's still a lot of British people who perceive us as a British colony and expect us to be a mini version of the UK. Although, you know, we are quite a bit bigger than the UK. But there is an expectation from a lot of Brits that since our origins are British origins, that we are going to be this little microcosm of English society, basically, which we are far from. We have so many different cultural influences, and yeah, we do have quite an American influence here in Australia.
The people, of course. I thought all the people will be like blonde and blue eyes and normal, but Australia are crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, the stereotype that we're all surfer types, or blonde-haired, blue-eyed surfer types. That just seems to be a worldwide thing, doesn't it? I'm thinking that perhaps English is not her first language, and that she's not trying to say that we're crazy as in we're just totally nutso insane, but I think she's trying to express that we are all so very different. We are multicultural, so we are all sorts of different people. We're certainly not all blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
Australians are crazy.
It's very different to Italy. It's more technological and there are more beautiful people.
There you go.
Cool. What's the best thing about the country?
I think that the best thing are the girls and the beach.
What can you say to that? Okay, yeah, we've got some pretty good beaches, and the beaches at surfers are pretty good. But I'm guessing that this guy probably went home without managing to impress any Australian girls.
The weather.
I would say the best thing is the weather, especially in the Goldie, because the weather is really good comparing to Melbourne and stuff like that, because it's really cold during the winter time.
Well, this actually reminds me of like Long Beach, California / Vegas, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was just
Vegas.
like a place by the coast.
I love the beaches. The beaches are really nice. So I love the Gold Coast. I love Sunshine Coast. I actually like the space. So there's like quite a lot of space. You can kind of get lost in the countryside then, if you like.
So the consensus seems to be that they love the weather, they love the beaches, and the wide open spaces, which are definitely positives. I'm glad that that guy mentioned Melbourne weather, because there is that notion, isn't there, that Australian weather is 365 days a year of sunshine, hot weather. You're going to roast every single day of the year, which is start heading south, and that's so not the case. And even round Brizzy, come winter time, it's not exactly super, super hot.
My passion is nature, which is in abundance here, and I love that. And I believe anyone who comes here and settles here will probably increase his age by 10.
Yeah, I do feel like the nature, like, I think that's a really cool aspect to it, that you've got these big cities, but between them you've got all this incredible nature and outback and stuff. You can go on an adventure, and that's where everything's trying to eat you, and the spiders and stuff, I feel like.
I think we really do somehow need to educate people from overseas about the existence of regional towns. The fact that while we do have those large population centres, the large cities, we have so many regional towns in between. It's not just a big empty outback, which seems to be what a lot of people think it is, outback or bush. I wonder how they manage to combine the two in their heads, because you hear people talk about outback and bush and this notion of that being what there is between all the big cities. But they're two totally different things. And I'm just wondering what the concept is for people from overseas when they talk about the outback and the bush, and they're thinking of it as one kind of global thing.
10 years.
It's like more multicultural. So like you meet different type of people from different countries.
There's always a sense of optimism, positive.
I will say, considering they walked around and found all these people from like Italy and stuff, like maybe in New York, certainly in New York City, you could walk around and find like a lot of different cultures, but not in a lot of cities in America. A lot of cities, you're not going to find foreigners like that easy.
That is the problem with videos like this, the concept that there must be tourists all over the place, whereas this is a tourist area that they're interviewing all these people in. If I were to go into our shopping district here in Bendigo, the only tourists I'd be likely to find on most days would be people who have come up from Melbourne or people who are from another area of Australia. There would only be a very small number of international tourists here on any one day. Of course, that is because we're inland, and when people come from overseas, they tend to stick to the coast because they don't realise that there are areas inland. So we get largely ignored, which I'm not going to complain about. It makes it a slightly quieter area. But same again, if you went to an area that wasn't a real tourist hotspot, you're not going to find this many tourists.
Positivity.
So there must be a lot of tourists.
Of optimism, positivity.
It's always good.
What's the worst thing about Australia?
Sense of optimism, positivity.
Pricey. The things are expensive.
The prices, it's expensive.
Everything closed early on Gold Coast.
The worst thing for me is the traffic.
Okay, 3 things at once there. So the prices, yeah, it's going to be expensive. It's the Gold Coast. They're charging you because you are tourists. Same with the traffic. It's a popular tourist area. There's going to be lots of traffic. And as for the shops closing early, well, that's what we do here in Australia. Like it or lump it.
Spiders, easy. There's a massive ass spiders and they're scamming.
See this?
My next question for this guy would have been, so how many of these massive ass spiders have you seen since you came to Australia? Because what's the bet that if he's seen any, he's probably only seen one.
18 years is a very young age for children to be an adult. I mean, giving so much of independence, drinking rights, those kind.
I thought he said drink and drive. You know, you let them drink and drive. No.
Ryan totally cracks me up sometimes with the things he says. Now, I find it interesting, though, that for him, he has honed in on the male voice, whereas I honed in on the female voice. I'd love to know from people who are watching this video which particular individual you honed in on the most. Now, it's fascinating that this lady mentions the drinking age as being 18, because a large number of countries have the drinking age at 18. There's not a lot of countries that actually have it higher than that. don't see so many countries where it's 21 for the drinking age. Yeah, you do in America, and I'm thinking, I think they said they were from India or Sri Lanka or somewhere. I didn't catch that at the beginning. So perhaps where they come from as well, it's 21. But if you look at so many other countries, you've got most European countries, it's 18. New Zealand, it's 18. Most places, if you look at it, it's 18 for the drinking age.
Okay, but you can drink at 18. That's cool. That's cool. So it's pretty much America, but just a little bit maybe better. I don't know.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here and presume that he knows better than that now. Because it really gets my goat when people try to say, oh, Australia is pretty much like America. Because actually, if you have a look at it, we're definitely not pretty much like America. Yeah, there are some things that are similar, but there's a heck of a lot about Australia that is so very different from America.
Adult.
Just given that, you can drink at 18.
I mean, giving so much of independence, drinking rights, yeah, those kind of rights. I wish it was more like America.
Like 21 is good when they're more mature
to make decisions.
Well, I for one am glad that we are not more like America. And it kind of gets my goat to have tourists come here and say, I wish it was more like America. Well, if you wish it was more like America, next time you're planning your holiday, just go to America.
So far,
I mean, I'm trying to think of most things in America at 18. You can go into the military, you can buy a house, you can get married, and do all these things at 18. So I don't know. The only thing that's 21 is drinking, and now smoking too. But I'm trying to think, like, what?
or none.
No, it's for me. It's
more mature
to make decisions.
So far, none.
No, it's for me. It's very far from my country, so.
Not really. I can't think of any.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
If anyone else is watching this video thinking of coming to Australia, would you recommend it and why?
100%. 100%, yeah. I'm not quite ready to go back to the UK yet. If you're thinking about it, stop thinking about it and do it, is what I would say.
Of course, I would recommend.
I gotta go. No, I can't just do it. I have a baby on the way next month. Get ready, people. He's gonna react to some of these videos with me.
For anyone who follows Ryan regularly, that's just kind of amusing when you think about the fact that his baby that he was expecting is now a little toddler who watches Bluey. So he's very much learning what Australia is like. I hope that one day Ryan actually does get to come to Australia with his family, because I think he will find it actually better than what he expected.
It's a massive country and there's so much stuff to explore and see. The people are really friendly and laid back, and it's just something you gotta explore yourself.
I think if you're an open-minded person and you come here and you take everything in, you don't judge stuff because it's different from what you're used to, I think you can really enjoy it here.
Okay, this guy needs a gold star, because this is something that has come up countless times over countless videos. Be open-minded and don't expect it to be like your own country. Don't judge Australia in terms of your own country, but look at it as a unique experience. So kudos to this guy, whoever he is. It's so refreshing to hear this directly from a tourist.
I would definitely recommend it. The Aussies are some of the most friendly people that you'll ever meet. Some of them you'll be able to understand.
I feel like that's like all you really want, is some beautiful scenery and nice people. What else do you want when you're, weather too. So I guess Australia has it all, except the price. Some cheap, like alcohol and stuff, is also good when you're trying to go someplace for a vacation. But apart from that, you need good people, good weather, good scenery.
It's a shame that people go to these really touristy areas and then get this notion of Australia as being super, super expensive. I was convinced that we are just hugely, hugely expensive compared to the rest of the world. But then when you hear people talk about it who have been to areas other than the super touristy areas, the reality is that actually we're not a great deal more expensive than like travelling in Europe or even than travelling in the United States. You're going to pay more for alcohol, you're going to pay more for tobacco, you're probably going to pay a bit more for fuel. But I've been told that the fuel difference also isn't phenomenal, unless of course you're going to like the Outback or something. But price-wise, I've been told that it's not as extreme as we're being told, that this concept is coming from tourists in touristy areas. I will say, if you are someone coming to Australia for the weather, you probably want to stick to the northern part of Australia.
So Australia ticks the boxes. You just got to bring a little bit of extra cash, I guess.
Aussies are some of the most friendly people that you'll ever meet. Some of them you'll be able to understand really well. Some of them you'll have no idea what they're saying, but it's okay. You're the one with the accent, so you're the cool guy. And it's totally worth it. It's a really cool place to be.
I'd recommend it because it's such a diverse and like massive community that will take in anyone. And it's very loving and like friendly, I guess.
I've been to all the continents, America, Europe.
Okay, so
I
this
prefer
guy
to come and settle myself in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Because
if you've been to every continent, then that says a lot if you're saying I prefer Australia to everything else. That's pretty cool.
It's still.
I agree with Ryan here. It's the affirmations from people who have travelled extensively that really, really count. So it is a great compliment for him to say, I've been to every continent and love Australia.
A more family-oriented country, more than America and the Europe. Here kids are still with the families on the weekends, which we don't see in the US.
In Japan, we are so narrow country, and the distance between people are so close. Now everyone feels here it's more spacious because there's so many areas that you can have a person.
Yeah,
Australia.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because
it's wonderful. It's a paradise.
In Australia is my dream when I was young. When I was young, I saw the picture from Gold Coast, and there's.
I don't know if I knew a single word this guy said. I got to go back.
When I was young, I saw the picture from Gold Coast.
From the Gold
And
Coast.
there's a lot of beach and a lot of culture, because here have not just Australian, like Asian people, European.
There's a lot of cultures.
Brazilian,
Yeah,
the best.
Brazilian, yeah.
The best.
So you saw a picture of the Gold Coast, and now you're here.
Yeah.
Dream come true, and now you're here.
Yeah.
Dream come true.
Dream come true, yeah. I love it.
That is pretty cool that this guy saw a picture of the Gold Coast when he was young and made it like his dream to come here, and he made it. Once again, going back to the Americans struggling with accents that are non-American accents, another classic example of that, Ryan was really struggling to understand this guy, and I didn't have any issues with it, which for many Australians is the case. Like I said, we are such a multicultural society. I struggle sometimes when I'm on the phone if there is someone for like a service centre with a really, really strong accent, and I have to slow them down sometimes and get them to repeat things. But I think in Australia we do a little bit better than America in terms of understanding people from other countries. Perhaps over time, with things like YouTube, we will all get better at understanding each other's accents.
I didn't really understand that last part. Like literally, I didn't understand what they were saying. But yeah, okay. Wow. Turns out Australia is a paradise, and you should go. Okay. Well, I can't say I learned anything new. Well, I think I did learn a couple new things, but the people there love it. Even the tourists love it, so therefore I should love it. All right. I got to mark out some kind of month on the calendar to go to Australia. That would be sick, but
2 years on and he's still doing reaction videos and he hasn't made it here yet. And obviously when you have a child come into the family, that's going to add to your everyday expenses. But I hope that someday Ryan does actually get the money together to visit Australia, and that when he does, he actually visits more than just the really touristy spots, because then he might get a really good understanding of Australia. I wonder sometimes if people who do these reaction videos do it but don't think that they'll ever actually come to the country. Is this some sort of substitute for coming to Australia? Or is this genuine desire to make it to Australia? And by saying that, as in, substitute, it could just be that they believe that they could never afford the expense. Not saying that they don't want to come, but I think there might be some people who do reaction videos that are perhaps not interested in coming to Australia, but just do the reaction videos. I don't know. Not that I'm saying that that is Ryan. I get the impression that he would actually quite like to make a trip to Australia if he could actually just get the funds to do so. So thanks for listening. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit like and leave me your thoughts below in the comments section. What do you think about the things that have come up in this particular video?